Hi everybody, I'm David Gregg and I run the 3-pedal gasser shootout series, and I'm here today to talk with a good friend, Mike Richards, who is some of you may know as Grumpy's Thumpers. I've had the pleasure of getting Mike to help me with the rebuild on the Good Vibrations Willys. I thought this would be a good chance to share some information about that journey. A few years back, I had an accident at Greer in this car and pretty much destroyed the front end and a lot of other things. Didn't do anything to the engine was fine. But as all racers are, they always want to try to make improvements and go a little faster and this and that and the other. So I talked to Mike about possibly helping me do that. I want to say all, but at least most hobby racers like I am. I'm not a professional racer, never been a professional racer, but I've raced for 40 years. You know, when you go to build an engine, you either trust your engine builder to provide everything, or you go with what your friends tell you or what you've heard in advertisements. Typically, if you go to a professional engine builder, the information that you get from them is proprietary, so they don't want to tell you anything real technical about what they're doing for you. They just want to make you happy and make you come back and buy more of their work from them. So when we started this journey, I was thinking, I've got a running car. The engine doesn't need anything. Maybe freshen up. Maybe we tweak this or tweak that. And when I talked to Mike about it, Mike was smart enough to know that I was a hobby racer. He knew what I wanted, but I really didn't know how to get there. So I'm gonna get Mike to tell you a little bit about Mike's background and what he does, and maybe some of the highlights of what we've done to this car that's different than what your store-bought hobby racer would do, because it's a really good story. Mike?
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, we started out, we tried to use some of the older things, so we didn't replace everything. We reused the crankshaft and the block, and just about everything else has been rejuvenated or rethought out. We tried to take advantage of anything we could to try to make double the horsepower that it did without going over the guidelines. Say 23-degree heads that have big limitations. They run great and everything, but they're not a power producer. They're never going to be, and you have quite a lot of difficulty trying to make them do so. But we went to the trouble.
So you're saying you can only get so much, right?
Yeah, no matter how good you are, you're gonna have that limitation. But so many people can't get to that limitation, so they haven't achieved what they could. So, I can't leave anything alone, so I'm always picking at something to try to make it better.
So when we started together, right?
Yeah.
You kind of knew what you were up against with me, right?
Yeah, and we didn't know each other either.
How did you lead me down the right path?
Me being as, I don't know, not a know-it-all or whatever you want to say, but I always see things that other people don't see. And I saw that David was been in the race car business, had more cars, more motors, more everything than I've definitely had. And I don't believe he was getting what he should have got, and I don't think he understood what he was getting. I always feel it's not all the mechanic or the machinist or whatever, because if you don't know what you're going after, he's not to think it over for you. You're supposed to be able to tell him what you want. If you leave it up to the machinist, then you're going to get their motor, or what they're capable of doing, or what they're not capable of doing, or what they think is maybe important. It's not important to anybody else. I think if you're trying to double the horsepower of a motor, there's very few things that you can't be thinking about to make it better. If you're not, you shouldn't be doing it. And so we approached it a little bit different. It's been a long process. David's been a challenge. But I'm a challenge.
Would you say that I maybe resisted some of the suggestions that you were making early on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there ain't a mechanic in the world. I don't care if you're just talking about your home car. A guy, you take it to somebody, and I don't think he fixed it right. I take it to the next guy. Oh, that guy didn't know what he was doing. I can fix it better. There's always that thing in the mechanical business, especially in hot rodding. It's probably 10 times, 100 times worse. It's hard to verify your things unless you're big shot, been building dozens and dozens of motors on other people's money and blowing up motors and learning from that. They didn't learn it other than taking care of other people's stuff that blew up. I don't have that situation. I've got to make sure it's right every time, or at least in my mind, it's everything we could do, because it's just not going to be done that way. And I think they should last a long time. These guys that completely overhaul a motor every year, I think that's kind of silly. I think you should check them over. But I think the reason that they're having those problems, or they think there's a problem there, is they're not using the right kind of parts that's available to us now. Everything's changed since I was younger, everything. And you can get much better products now if you want to, but you got to still know what the hell you're ordering. And if you don't know what you ordered, it doesn't do a bit of good. It's just like the people that you buy them from. You can call that place 5 different times and talk to 5 different people, and you wonder how they even sell parts at all. But you'll run into a guy, and you'll go back to that guy, and that's where I've been now for quite a few years. I use the same guy unless I have a reason to change. We get a rapport with each other. He knows how I think or what I know, and I've been around and around with some machinists too. If I don't know something, I'm going to ask you to help me, but I don't want to be told what to do. And if you do tell me that, I'm not going to make a decision. That'll probably make me back up. So me and David now, in the job that he does for a living, he knows a lot of different things, but it's very similar to what I kind of do, but not on a big way, but just the way we think. And so we take considerations like peer pressure. My God, how many people have asked you, why are you doing this? How come you did that? Why does it take so long? You know, and yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? Well, we didn't think we were going to be sitting on our butts picking our noses because of this COVID, but we are.
Yeah.
So times change, things change, so does the parts. That's why I tried to help David. I think he had the motor in it was all built out of old ideas, old parts, old thinking, and we moderned it up for an antique. I believe the block was an 84 model, so it's still kicking. It is all aluminum. We saved a lot of weight. I think we're going to have a good combination, and it's going to be new for both of us. And I don't think it's just all motor. You don't got the gears right, you can't shift it, you can't get the clutch to go, you can't get the rear end gear right, you can't get it hooked. It's going to make the engine look inferior, or whatever you want to say. Well, that's the last thing on my mind. So we went a little extra effort to, it's probably drove David bananas, but a little extra effort that we're going to try to go out and go after them a little bit, and mean to. We're not just going for a hobby. We've spent too much money now to not make it a all the way deal. Otherwise, we should have stopped in the middle, started over, and went to go play golf or something. But
so how long you been doing this, Mike?
I'm from Indiana, Greensburg, Indiana. When I was 1957, my dad moved out of Indiana to Florida. He started a John Deere tractor agricultural business, and he worked for John Deere up in Indiana also. He developed that business into the biggest John Deere place there was in all of South Florida, and sales and everything. I started out at a very young age because basically when I left school, I didn't have anybody to take care of me. I went to the shop. Luckily, I could ride my bicycle down there and start. So I scratched gaskets and swept floors, and I guess that started when I was 9 or 10. But I caught on to stuff pretty quick, and I wasn't a very big kid till I got way out of high school. All that heavy stuff, you think diesels is way heavy, and it is. But they could bring that head in, lay it down on a table, and I could grind the valves, grind the seats, change the guides, rebuild the injectors, and do all that. And they come back and do the bully work, pick it up, and go put it on. So I've been doing that since I was very, very young.